demonstrating and selling. And he did the demonstration for me and fell in love with them, even though I teased him and said, you know, I could take a mini vacation for what this is costing me. But here we are, you know, how many years later, probably going on 15 or so, and still use them all the time.
Wow. What does your son do now?
He's a principal for K-4 in Columbus, Ohio.
Cool. Did he get to
Yeah.
keep Cutco when he stopped selling it, or did he have to give them back?
You know what? I think he got his own to keep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then just family and friends all purchased.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, he exploited all the family.
Yeah. Was Tim one of those family or friend persons that
No,
bought from him?
Tim's just a golf buddy of mine that I met golfing last year.
Gotcha. So he got it separately. That's cool. Nice.
Correct.
Well, I'm glad that he connected us today, and happy to help with the sharpening that y'all needed. So you probably read this in the email, and so I'm just going to review it really quickly here to start. We're going to do a 3-stage process today. During stage 1, I'll review the inspection that we did on your knives. There are actually 4 kinds of damages that can happen to Cutco, and it is helpful for somebody using Cutco like yourselves to know what to look out for when you're using them. And so I'll teach you what those 4 common damages are. I'll also go over some knife care advice on how to keep the knives sharp the longest, and just touch on the warranty. The great thing about Cutco's warranty is that if you ever do experience a damage, then they'll fix or replace them for free. You just pay shipping and handling, and they send them back to you new or like new. And so it's pretty phenomenal. I'll also do
business
since 1949. It's a 72-year-old American company. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard anything bad about Cutco.
Yep, they're great. They make great products, and they have great people and
Yes.
great programs too. And so I'll be updating you on some of those products and programs in stage 2. As you read in the email, there is no purchase required, as you probably heard on the phone as well, but we don't say no to orders. And so if you see something that would be helpful for you, Sue, I know, you know, I wouldn't stop you, especially since we happen to be in a big sales contest right now to earn a trip to Australia. And so if you see $10,000 worth of stuff that you want and just want to knock my contest out, I promise not to to slow you down. I'll definitely egg you on the whole way.
Only if you could bring us with you.
Yeah, I know. I could write
Good
a
luck.
petition to Cutco. These nice customers want to come along with the cat too.
Yeah, he's
And
curious.
so, yep, the keyboard kittens, they're pretty common during these appointments. And then during stage 3, a lot of people, when they know, you know, when they own Cutco, like they remember who else was it that also purchased Cutco, and those people might benefit from this pickup service. And so you know, you can make referrals if you're comfortable with it, and they would go through the same experience that you did. You know, the scheduling department would give them a courtesy call, and they can, you know, sign up or not. It's up to them. And so I'll ask you for that at the end, and then if you're open to continuing to spread the word online, like Tim did, then you know, I can show you how to post as well. We've got some incentive programs for people that are open to spreading the word that I can explain in stage 3. So jumping right into stage 1 here, there are 4 common damages that you want to keep an eye out for. If any of these happen, Cutco will likely replace the knife, and sometimes they fix them, but either way, it's totally free. You just pay shipping and handling. You want to keep an eye out for broken tips. You also want to keep an eye out for broken tangs. The tang is the part of the knife that runs through the handle. As you can see here, you know, if this metal ever snaps, it won't be safe to use the knife. Okay. We also, you know, ask that you keep an eye out for melted handles. One of my clients that I met with last week, she forgot her knife on a pan and it melted a little bit. I also met a client a couple of years ago who forgot her knife in a potato and baked it. And so that was pretty bad. Good news is that both scenarios resulted in a free replacement. And so if either a minor or major melt happens to you, please let us know so we can point you in the right direction to get it fixed or replaced. We also run into a lot of clients who have teeth on their double D-edge knives. The teeth are supposed to be, you know, pretty defined, and sometimes they're not. And you can see the age progression of a Cutco knife on the screen. On the left, the middle picture, that's a brand new knife. On the right, that knife is right about 50%.
Okay.
The third picture shows a knife that's at 90% worn out.
Oh,
And once it gets beyond 50%, there aren't enough teeth left for us to sharpen. And so that would be, we consider it a damaged knife at that point. And we recommend that it be returned so that it can be totally refurbished or replaced.
okay.
And so whenever we got your box in the other day, we did an inspection and we sharpened everything, and we took notes while we inspected and while we sharpened. And here are the notes. It's separated into two separate charts. You'll notice that the first line is just an example for the note taker, so you can ignore that first line. So basically, on the right, we list all the knives that we feel pretty confident that we sharpened and passed our standards test. By the way, we use a standards test where we cut leather after we sharpen, just to make sure that we're not just thinking that they're sharp, right?
Mhm.
And so the French chef, the paring knife, the bread slicer, and the sandwich slicer, were all able to pass the sharpness test after we sharpened them. Okay. Now the petite carver and the trimmer, however, did not pass, and that is because they did have the edge issue where those points, those teeth on the double D edge are beyond the 50% mark.
Oh,
And so they didn't actually catch on the sharpener, which is why they weren't cutting the leather. And so the ones on the right,
Which ones were those?
so you have two different size utility knives. One's about 5 inches. It's about the same length as the spreader. And
Yep,
one is slightly longer. Those are the
yeah.
two that are bad.
okay. Not this.
So was the 5-incher?
Right. Yeah, both of those. I'm gonna actually switch you to my camera here just so that you can. These are not your knives, but they're identical. They're mine. And so your set are these 7 tools here. And then the 2 utility knives are the ones that we could not get sharp. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
the two serrated.
Well, they're not serrated anymore, but yeah,
Okay. So
that's what
those
I'm
we would
saying.
have to return to Cutco.
Exactly. So in the factory in upstate New York, Western New York, they have a big machine where they can actually grind those double D serrations back onto the knife and turn your
Okay.
knife into a like new knife. If they're not satisfied with the repair process, then they will replace your knife free of charge. And so, the fixing, the replacing is totally free. It's, you just have to decide if you'd like to send them, and if so, how you would like to have them sent. Your first option is that you send them yourself. We can deliver them back when we drop off your sharpened knives. You would just go to the UPS store and send them to Western New York, box them up. Make sure you tell the guy at the UPS store you want to insure them for about $100 per knife.
Okay.
And then Cutco would bill you for the return shipping back to you.
Okay.
Some customers, what was that?
I was just going to ask if you would put that address in with our knives when you return them.
I can email it to you. That's the best
Oh,
bet if that's the route you
better
wanted to
yet.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
Some customers don't want to be without, some customers don't want to be, dealing with it. And so my company has a service where we do it for you as well. We charge $28 plus tax to take care of that for customers. We use some of that 28 for shipping there, some of it to pay your shipping back to you, some of it to make sure the box is insured, and some of it
Hmm,
to, pay my staff to run the quick errand for you.
sure.
And so if you didn't want to deal with it, we could do it too. But it's up to you. Those are your 2 routes. So
Okay.
would you like to do it, or would you like us to take care of it for you?
For $28.
Yes.
You know what?
28 plus tax.
Take care of it for us.
Okay, so I can do that for you. Do you happen to have a debit or credit card nearby, Sue or Bob, for the 28
I'll get mine.
plus tax? Cool. Take your time. So, what did y'all retire from? If you are retired, I assume based on your golfing day that you are.
I was in the new home construction business and land development, and my sweetie here was in
Finance.
finance accounts payable for a plastics company.
Gotcha. That's cool. Huh.
And we both used to live out in North Royalton, Broadview Heights area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we have a small fishing boat. And so upon retiring, we planned and downsized, sold our home out in Broadview and moved out here to Lorraine. I'm 2 minutes from my marina, so we can
Hey,
go
that's
down, take a
awesome.
look at the lake and get out there and start catching walleye as soon as the lake's nice enough.
Nice, cool. I'll have to show you the Cutco fillet knife. It's pretty awesome.
I've seen them.
Have you?
Actually,
Yeah,
I think I have one.
Yeah, you
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Nice, cool. All
I
right, go
forgot to
ahead when
say
you're
the
ready.
Date.
So April 24th is the absolute latest that you'll receive those 3 knives back from, or 2 knives, sorry, back from New
Okay.
York.
Oh, good.
And so they say 2 to 4 weeks, so it gives us some cushion. So if you don't get a box from New York by then, call me and I can look into it, but you should.
Okay, thank
And
you.
then my staff is going to send you an email on when your delivery date is for your sharpened knives. That's going to be within 7 to 10 days or less, as you already knew. Now,
Okay.
one thing that I wanted to mention was when it comes to scissors, scissors are the one tool that we are not able to sharpen here. And
Okay.
so we looked at the handles and there weren't any damages, but I always like to bring it up if somebody decides to have us send really any products back. If you have felt that your scissors are sharp and they're good, then we can just bring them back to you. If you'd like to have them sharpened though, we can include them in your send back package and it won't cost you, more or less.
Up to you. I think they work fine, don't you?
Yeah, I think, for as little use as we,
Yeah. You could return them with our knives.
Absolutely. That's what we'll do. Cool. So do you guys cook still or
Yes.
yes,
In
but
fact,
you
that
don't use the
serrated
scissors
knife
as
I
much?
use every day.
Oh,
I
the one
miss
that's
it.
going back?
Yes.
Ah, we could
That's my
tell.
favorite knife.
Yeah, yeah, we
she
could
likes, she
tell.
likes the 5-incher. I like the longer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. His and hers.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to give you some care tips on how to keep these bad boys sharp the longest, since you
Okay.
do cook and you use them. It does help when you use them the right way because it'll help you keep them, sharp longer.
Sure.
Number one is pair in the air. And so most people already know that, paring knives are designed to peel the skin off of fruits and vegetables. But I do have a handful of clients that I talk to every once in a while that don't realize that paring knives are only designed to be used in the air. Once you know, it's actually easy to remember because it rhymes, pair in the air. And so when you're peeling, taking the skin off of fruits and veggies, if you're cutting the top off of a strawberry or cutting up bananas for cereal, Cutco does not recommend using a paring knife for slicing on the cutting board.
Hmm.
And so keep in mind when you use that paring knife to cut towards your thumb and you'll keep it sharp much longer. The
Mm-hmm.
second tip is to engage all the teeth. And so you have several knives in your set that have the Cutco double D edge. A lot of times we do inspections where we'll notice that the knives are more dull in the front, like those first 4 teeth that come off of the tip, than they are in the
Mm-hmm.
back, the ones that are closer to the handle. And this is usually because we tend to feel naturally that we get a better leverage when we angle the knife down and we slice with just the first 4 teeth.
Mm.
And so, while this works because it's Cutco, it is wearing the knife unevenly. And so, what I teach clients that helps is if you keep the knife parallel to the board, slicing all the way forward and all the way backward, you'll actually cut through your food easier, but you'll
Mm.
also notice the knife will wear evenly and stay sharp longer.
Okay.
The third tip is to use the chef knife on veggies only. Do you know which one in your set is the chef knife?
Not really.
That's okay. Not everybody has the names memorized. That's why I asked. And so the chef knife is the triangular one right here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so this should be your go-to tool for peppers and onions. You always watch the chefs on the Food Network chopping up things with the knife shaped like that. And so
Okay.
Cutco does not recommend using a chef knife on any kind of meat or anything with a thick rind like a watermelon or a tough squash.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
this
that.
is because the edge is so thin, it will wear out more quickly that way. You won't ruin the knife. You'll
Mhm.
just notice that you will need to sharpen it a lot more often because it won't stay sharp long because it's not the intended purpose. The fourth
Right.
tip is to avoid any incredibly hard cutting surfaces. We don't recommend cutting on anything harder than steel, like the surfaces that you see listed there. I've also noticed that if you use like the really, really thin cutting boards, it's good to avoid those as well. They're almost as thin as placemats. They roll up. You might know the ones I'm talking about. And
Right.
as convenient as they are so thin, they don't actually protect or provide cushion to protect the cutting edge from the countertop itself.
Okay.
And
Actually, we
so
use the Cutco cutting board.
wonderful. Yeah, great. The one that came with your set. Awesome.
Exactly.
Does it have a handle in it? And
Exactly.
yep, Good old trusted Cutco board. Cool. And then I'll skip number 5 because you don't have our table knives or our steak knives, right?
No,
No. Are you steak eaters?
not really.
Gotcha. Is that why you didn't get him?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Cool. Cool. Well, is that something that you would like to have?
Not really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, most people
we have-
that, but
We have a, off-brand set of steak knives through gifts that we received that work just good enough for the amount of times we eat beef.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. And Cutco has a table knife and a steak knife. And we have a lot of customers that, they're weaning away from red meat. They don't really do that, but once a month. And so it doesn't make sense to have steak knives. So, as you're potentially thinking about what your next thing on the list might be, these table knives are like sharp butter knives. They're phenomenal because they spread and they cut. And so we've all tried to cut, roasted broccoli or a Brussels sprout or a grape tomato or a piece of chicken with an actual butter knife because we don't need to bring out a steak knife, but the butter knife just doesn't cut it. And
Mhm.
and so this is a really helpful in between to where it's Cutco. So you just push down on it, it'll cut your rolls in half. You can spread it's pretty phenomenal. So
Hmm,
just something that I wanted to show you really quickly. Steak
sure.
knives always have rivets, just like the ones that you got as gifts, right? And they always have
Mhm.
the full tang where the blade goes all the way through. Table knives don't. They're just like sharp butter knives. And so
Hmm.
something to think about. And those are available as a part of an upgrade program that I can share with you towards the next stage, which is a really cool way for you to get
Okay.
those in a discounted way. So what was your number one takeaway there? What did you learn during the 4 knife care tips?
The pear in the air,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was bumping her knee because
Were you?
he tends to use it to cut everything and anything with it.
Well, and the big knife, what did you call it? The
The
chef
chef
knife?
knife? Uh-huh.
I always use that on watermelon. So
Mm,
that was
mm,
wrong.
gotcha. Gotcha. Like I said, you're not going to ruin it, but it's not the best tool for that job. So I'm
Okay.
glad that you got some value from that. Now,
Absolutely.
Which one is the best one to use to cut a melon?
so you don't have the melon knife in your set, so that might be something to
Figured.
consider. But the large utility knife, the one that you said is your favorite, Bob, is the one that's going to be your best bet from what you already
Okay.
own. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm with the forever guarantee, so this is like the reason that people buy Cutco and why you've had so much great experience using your Cutco, because if anything ever goes wrong, they'll fix or replace them for free. You can use the warranty on your own, so you don't have to work directly with me, but you do have a benefit when you do, because a lot of customers don't want to be without their knives for 2 to 4 weeks unless they absolutely have to. And so most people call me every 2 to 3 years, and they say, hey, let's link up, sharpen what you can, send back what you can't. And we are happy to help with that, my staff and I. And so I'll make sure you have my digital card before we disconnect today. So that way you can reach me as needed, and happy to help. Now, there's also a money back guarantee, which is, a good feature. There's another feature that isn't listed called the Easy Pay program. It's no secret Cutco is not a cheap product. However, the company does allow us to give you a special package pricing during your sharpening appointment. And so you are able to pick out things that you love today, and you don't have to pay for them in full if you don't want to. Using the Easy Pay program, there's an option where you can put 20% down just to try them out for a month. When you love them, it's just 4 more payments over 4 more months with no interest at all. If for any reason during the first 30 days, maybe you're not using them like you thought, potentially an unfortunate event happens where you can't swing the payment anymore, there's always something that sometimes comes up. You can send them back for either an exchange or a total refund or a partial refund, and they'll adjust or cancel your other 4 payments and refund your down payment accordingly. And so it's a great way for you to date your Cutco before you marry it. And if you decide to marry it, it does match up with your cash flow.
Okay.
And the company always has and always will stand behind the products 100%. Now, before I move on to stage 2, that actually wraps up stage 1. Would it be all right if I shared a few points from my background and also my top 2 goals for this year?
Sure.
Great. So folks always used to ask me, is this legit? How long have you been doing this? When did you start? And so I created some slides to walk everybody through my story and the journey that I've been on. So like most people, I started with Cutco when I was a student. I was finishing up high school at Stowe, which is about 20 minutes north of Akron. And a buddy of mine, we were looking for summer jobs, and he said, "Hey, you should try this." And I was like, "All right." And so when you finish up training, like your son, they say call your parents and all of their friends and family. And my parents are actually from Kenya, and so their friends and family were pretty far. And and so luckily I had some nice neighbors that were open to seeing me, and they referred me to, more friends and family of theirs and neighbors, and I ended up doing, I think, about 80 appointments that first summer. And I
Wow.
learned a lot about business and gained a lot of communication skills. So I decided to do it again all the summers throughout my undergrad. By the time that I
Really?
finished, I had done, I would say, just under 1,000 appointments, and I'd earned a lot of business from those customers. And luckily, I was able to use some of the commissions that I earned, which I'm grateful to have earned, to help pay for a vehicle that I still drive today. And I also was able to help pay for my undergrad degree, which I'm really grateful to have graduated debt free from Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio in 2017. Go Raiders! And so
Very
when
impressive.
thank you, when I finished up my undergrad, I had to decide what my career was going to be. When I was fielding companies and looking at my options, I noticed that I already had about, 500 or 600 Cutco customers that were calling me back to order Cutco for gifts and to add to their collections on a regular basis. And I really wanted to help provide them with the sharpening services that I knew that they would need and serve them at the highest level possible, as opposed to most Cutco reps that kind of just disappear. And so I set out a goal that year to sharpen everybody's knives. And I also participated full time on what they consider to be called the Fair and Show team, where I worked a lot of festivals and county fairs. And I think I did about 40 to 50 different events that year, and another few hundred appointments. And I'm grateful to have earned the #1 sales rep in the country that year, and also a trip to Iceland on the company as well. So that was a phenomenal experience. But every single year since then, I've had a really big goal for myself to continue my growth personally and professionally. And so this year, and this year, my big goal is actually getting my first house by the end of the year. Now, I've been saving up for this since I graduated, and in order to hit my savings goal, I need to write up 750 sale orders from now through December. Now, since all the big fairs and shows that I would normally do have been canceled, I know it's not going to be easy, but I am really committed because I want to set an example for my younger siblings on kind of what like hard work, is, and what it's like to work hard for a goal, even when the circumstances have changed, not in your favor. And so, my big why this year is earning the independence that I've been working towards, and I am committed to working hard to get there. And I know that if I keep doing appointments on a regular basis, then the numbers will work themselves out. And so the second big goal that I have is that every customer I sit down with, yourself included, feels entertained, feels served, and feels like they learned something, to where they're confident and comfortable spreading the word to your friends and family that might benefit from this pickup service, and also online, so that we can continue to work hard towards these goals. And so thank you so much for listening. What would be 1 or 2 goals that you might have, whether it's for you, each other, your family as a whole, for this year?
You know what? Just trying to stay healthy and positive.
Hmm.
To
We're-
I
get,
love that one.
to get my wife to get a will.
Yes.
I'm
Planning
working on
ahead.
I've been after that for 33 years.
She's positive, right? She's wanting
Right.
to.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm gonna be around a while longer.
absolutely. I love that. Good luck on that, Bob.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
I understand.
that's so funny. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I'm just grabbing some water here. Throat gets
Hey,
dry after.
another QT, our daughter-in-law graduated from Stowe,
Oh,
and
really?
her father was the superintendent of
Of the school system.
the school system there in Stowe.
Hmm.
Yeah. What was his name?
The last name is Vandenbalk. He's been
Mm,
retired though for about, I want to say 7, 8 years, maybe longer.
sure, sure. So
It's
he was
still up in
probably
school.
superintendent as we were going through the system, but probably not old enough for me to know who the superintendent was, or
Exactly.
care. But that's
Yeah,
cool.
right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's awesome. Sweet.
And now they all live in Columbus. Everybody moved down
Yeah.
south to
How
to
old is your
Columbus.
daughter-in-law?
She's, I think, 37.
Okay, yeah. She would have graduated long before I was there. So
Exactly.
yes, but great, it's small world for sure.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, thanks for sharing those goals. Those are fun. So this here is a picture of your Cutco Dream Kitchen, Bob and Sue. And this is what most of my clients work toward. My happiest clients have a goal for themselves and their closest friends and family to own a complete set of Cutco knives, cookware, flatware, and accessories. And so
Mm,
this picture is a preview of what I'll get to share with you today. The
mm,
purpose of the dry erase clipboard that you may have noticed on the table, that's what I'm going to be using to take notes throughout on anything that you're interested in or just curious to know a price on, because we
okay.
won't have time to do pricing in between every product or program. Since there are so many, what I've done is I've condensed it down into 3 or 4 commercials, and in between each commercial, I'll kind of share with you what what's your interest level. I'll ask you, and if you think it's high enough to where you want to know a price, I'll write it down as a reminder for myself to give you the pricing at the end. If you say that you're
Okay.
not, it's not a big deal. We'll just move on to the next commercial. Now,
Sounds
once
good.
you see the pricing, my top clients, they do everything on their list at once because they know it's the best way to save the most money in the long run. But what most
Mhm.
clients do is they'll pick a component, start with that, and then build on it each time they see me. So everybody does it differently. But what I've found is that people really just like to see what's new. And so my goal is to teach you about some things that you didn't know we have to offer, give you pricing on what works best for you, and then you can tell me if anything works or not. And what works, if anything. So
Okay.
we'll go ahead and dive in here. My first commercial is going to be on the customer requested knives. Cutco has a really cool program called the upgrade program. If you like these customer requested knives that I'm going to show you, I can quote you what your upgrade would run, but it's a really cool thing where you can get credit for the knives you already bought 15 years ago towards a set, so you don't have to pay like the full 37. It's actually 36.79 that a full set of Cutco is worth now. And Cutco customers who own your set have been writing into the company over the years saying, this is what we like, this is what can be changed. And if Cutco receives enough feedback on a specific type of product, then what I found is that they'll actually create a product that aligns with the reviews of many customers. And so
Mm,
there are 11 knives and a fork that may or may not apply to you that I'm about to give you a commercial on. The first thing that customers wrote was that they noticed their paring knife works great for peeling, but they realize that sometimes when they try to cut an apple, mango, or pear, they have to cut around it instead of right through it because the paring knife is not long enough. And
mhm.
so we got a lot of feedback from clients asking for a longer paring knife. So that's what Cutco did, was they came out with a longer paring knife so you can split through a whole apple without having to go around it, or a mango or a pear.
Hmm.
Another common review was that the customers were noticing that the paring knife was the one that was going dull the fastest. And when Cutco received some of those letters and reviews, they actually wrote letters back. And we let customers know what I had informed you at the beginning, is that if you'd like your paring knife to stay sharp longer, we recommend paring in the air. Now, get
Mhm.
this, some customers wrote back and said, we don't want to. And so Cutco created a knife so that you don't have to. The tip tapers down into the board instead of up into a point. And so with the traditional style paring knife in your set, when you cut on the board, the whole blade's exposed to the board. Usually what dulls the knife isn't the food, it's the surface you're cutting on. And since the whole blade touches, that's why they say pair in the air. With this guy,
Mhm.
imagine that you're slicing through, some customers, they just want to cut up their mushrooms or bananas or strawberries on the board. And so you can take this knife using the tip and dragging back through kind of like a pencil. And
Mm.
what you'll notice when you use it is that the tip is what's dragging on the board and the blade actually stays elevated up in an angle and only cuts the food. So it tricks the knife into thinking you're cutting in the air when you're really not. And so it's unique, it's different. Some have told me it's cute. I nicknamed it the Rebel paring knife for the Rebel customers. All right. Now, this is the raw meat knife. This was designed by Cutco for those clients that wrote to us and said when they try to cut up raw meat, they usually use what you had mentioned to be your favorites. And they
Mhm.
notice that it tends to pull and tug on that double D serrated edge. So it works, but not as well as it does on like tomatoes and citrus, which is great for a double D serrated edge. And so Cutco created one very much like it, but without teeth or without the double D edge. And so you'll notice here how much better it works. When they released the knife, one of my clients did a side-by-side test. The original knife in your set took 21 strokes. This new one took 2.
Hmm.
And so it's literally 10 times easier for chicken, beef, lamb, and if you're ever chopping up, any kind of, if you need to cut the fat off of I don't know, if you have a smoker, whether you do or not, it's great just for simple raw
Hmm.
meat or the fancy raw meat. all around things. The veggie knife here is fantastic. It's actually happens to be the single most sought after piece of Cutco right now. The reason why it's so sought after is because the inertia of the knife does almost all the work for you. And so the clients who have bought this from me tell me it's their favorite tool for leafy greens. And so if you find yourself using spinach, kale, romaine, cabbage in your recipes, or chopping up any kind of herbs from the garden, like a rosemary, basil, a parsley, or a thyme, this knife is phenomenal. Some of my customers tell me it saves them time too, pun intended. And you can treat it like a paper cutter with your hand on it and keep your fingers out of the way, which is a nice safety feature. But my personal favorite thing about it is the wide surface area that you can easily use to scoop and move those leafy greens, you know, into a bowl or whatever. Another common review was that there is no knife in the original starter set long enough to cut through a melon. Many of our clients say they try to use their chef knife, but they notice that it tends to get stuck in the middle of the melon as they push through, and then it doesn't work very well because it splits the melon open and feels unsafe. And that's because a chef knife is not designed for that. There's a lot of metal there. It's really a rocker, not a wedge. And so what Cutco did here is they're now offering this melon set, which is designed for melons. On the right, that is a 10-inch long slicer. It's the longest knife we make, and it slices a melon with a sawing motion in 3 swipes. That knife is even longer than your bread knife, just for reference.
Oh, wow.
One on the left is the most flexible knife we make. It will bend to the shape of the rind and then scoop the fruit off the rind. It works phenomenally on fish as well. And so if you're catching the walleyes this summer, you can use it on that too. But it is a really handy tool. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever thought about, hey, I like to upgrade my Cutco set. Probably not, but you are a really good candidate for a program Cutco offers called the Upgrade Program. Now, the upgrade program was designed specifically for customers who already have one of our starter sets who like these new knives. The way it works is Cutco will give you credit for all your old knives towards the set that comes with your new knives in a package where you get to keep all your old knives. So we don't take anything from you. We only give you credit for what you own. And it only comes with the new knives, but also a storage holder that holds the old knives and the new knives in one place. And this is because a lot of clients say, wow, I like a lot of these new knives, but I don't know where I would put them. My storage holder is full. And so this takes into consideration what you have and basically what we've talked about and helps you get what we've talked about. And then also the ones I'm going to finish here in a couple of minutes in a discounted fashion with the holder. And so that's something that I just wanted to let you know a little more detail about real quick there. The Hearty Slicer is the next one in the upgrade. And the reason people like it is because it works really well on hearty foods. That's frozen summer sausage there. And then that's a sweet potato, and it cuts it like a hot knife through butter. And so it's designed for those foods that you have to stretch beforehand and then go to rehab after trying to cut. The ones that you feel you have to, that you might even break your knife trying to cut this. And and so my one client was really excited about owning this because she said she wouldn't have to ask her husband for help for the rutabaga anymore. And so it separates frozen, stuck together hot dogs or hamburger patties with ease. You'll be able to slice your ribs into singles without ripping the meat, as you can see there. And I've heard that if you sniff hard enough, you might even be able to smell those ribs as well.
It's not working.
I know, right?
I wish it did.
It'd be nice. And so it's, it's just it looks like a chef knife. So some people get confused, but as soon as you hold it, you'll know that it's much heftier because it's heavier and it's thicker and it's got the double D edge, the teeth. And so that's what makes it different and helpful for those hearty foods. The sticky foods knife is phenomenal for any foods that might stick to the side of your blade. I use it to cut up cucumbers and zucchini yellow squash, but also potatoes. And so the holes are there, which prevent resistance. It's literally as easy as it looks when you're slicing through, but also prevents food from sticking. And so that's a really handy knife. The tip is nice for spreading softer goat cheeses onto crackers as well. Now, most of our customers, when they're cutting up their celery or bell peppers, they cut them into strips before they chop them up into little bits. And so Cutco wanted to accommodate those people with a knife that made it easier. And so they reshaped the chef knife, just like they reshaped the paring knife with the square tip. And you can utilize the square tip chef knife as a pencil, and you can use that tip to drag back through. But then you can also use the back part of the knife as a chopper. And so for our customers who, cut celery, peppers, or onions, they do, appreciate having the versatility and the efficiency of this tool in their set. And I know I just like how it complements the vegetable knife and the traditional chef knife in the way that it does. And then the scissors are phenomenal, which you have. So I'm actually going to skip those. Forgot you had those. They're on the table here, so I brain farted there. The only other ones that would be available for you are these, which are considered the family function set. Okay, these round out the 11 knives and forks. So it's pretty simple. It's just this side of the table. Okay, family function set are designed to work better than an electric knife on anything that you might cut up during a family function: turkey, roast, ham, prime rib, tri-tip, flank steak, etc. Not something used every day, but when you do, it's much easier and better to have it not need it than when you need it and then you don't have it. And so that kind of rounds out your complete Cutco set. And like I said, a discounted fashion with the holder. And then one thing I also want to mention before I forget is that it does come with a care pack. Cutco redesigned the cutting boards about 10 years ago so that they are maximum efficiency for helping you take care of your knives. If you have never used a raised cutting board, they're phenomenal because you can slide a plate underneath, transfer food without picking the board up. The juice grooves are a great feature as well. And I have had some customers who send these boards back and get new ones for free. And so a lot of people will upgrade their set just because they know it comes with the boards, which are the last set of boards you'll ever have to own. The sharpener is nice to have so that you don't have to see me as often, which I know would break your hearts, but it is nice to be able to do some of this from home on your own.
I do have that sharpener.
Do
Or
you?
one like it.
Yeah. Is it the Cutco brand?
Yeah.
Nice. Great.
So that's for the straight edge blades or the
You got it. Yeah.
non-serrated blades.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. So I'll actually, you're able to get credit for that since you've already purchased it or that you own it.
And
So
I also have the Cutco fork.
Yes. We didn't send
I didn't send the fork.
got it. So you have a 3-prong fork. So let me differentiate.
We'll show
Oh,
it.
it is free.
Yeah, it's a 3-prong. Yep.
Yeah, so let me pivot and just differentiate for you. So Cutco's complete set actually comes with 2 forks. The small one, which comes in the starter set. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people confuse this with a meat fork, but it's not. So this is actually for turning and serving things when you're doing stir fry. I use it for getting pickles out of a jar, or if you have meat that you've already carved that you need to like pick up from one maybe serving plate and put it onto your own plate, the tines flare. And so it's designed to pick food up. Whereas these tines are the long ones that anchor the meat while you're carving. Okay?
Gotcha.
Yes. And so that's why there's they are similar when you kind of look at them from here, but after kind of getting the use explanation, and these do come with a pamphlet on what's for what and when to use what. And so basically when you upgrade, it's just these 12 items here, and then they come discounted with the table knives that I mentioned briefly earlier, and the new boards and the storage holder. And so if you like them, I can write down a note for myself to give you a quote. Do you like those?
Yeah, I do. Does that includes the veggie knife?
Absolutely, yes.
The melon knife?
Yeah, let me just go over them really quickly since you're asking. So it would come with, starting over here, the melon set, the veggie, the raw meat, the rebel pairing, which might be good for you, Sue. The longer pairing, the hardy slicer, the sticky, the santoku, and the family function knives. And so basically it's once you get to like 4 or 5, like you had written down, then you need somewhere to put it. and so this helps you get everything in a discounted fashion with the the storage holder and the cutting boards.
And so what you guys do is you then come up with some kind of a credit for the knives we currently do own.
Yeah, and I'll show you what that credit is based on what you bought from your son. Yeah.
And then you get to actually keep those.
Yes.
We keep the old knives and we get the new knives and a new
And then
holder.
you get the care package cutting boards.
Exactly. Yeah.
You would get the credit since I already have a sharpener.
Yep. Yeah, you're a great listener. Yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
they always said I could sell an ice cube to an Eskimo.
Well, I'm just glad because most people they'll sometimes repeat back and it wasn't what I said, but you hit everything on the
Yeah.
nail. So
He said
so you have a
wonderful
very
things.
good
He likes
understanding
the
of
kitchen.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd be interested in hearing the price. We're not saying for sure we would get it, but we'd be
Sure.
curious.
I'll quote it for you as we wrap up and you can let me know what
Okay.
you think. I'm going to
Okay.
move right along here. So gadgets are always fun to look at. I don't know if you ever purchased any Cutco gadgets. Did you?
we have
Yeah.
I
Which
have
ones?
the potato peeler.
our veggie peel.
Yeah, the veggie peeler. And that might just be it. I might have the pizza cutter. I'm not sure. I don't think so, though. I think just the veggie peeler.
So here's the cool thing about the scoop. It's got a point so you can scoop seeds out of butternut squash and cantaloupes. Pretty awesome. So it's like a versatile scoop. Works good on ice cream too. The pizza wheel removes the blade is removable. So a lot of our clients, you can recognize whether you have it based on that because it's the only one that I've ever seen that does that.
Right.
And the can
Oh,
opener is guaranteed forever. Did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay. Most can openers don't even last 2 days, so that's a benefit in itself. And I had one customer joke that it's can-tastic, and so it's fun. The wine opener has a bottle opener for craft beer, and so it's like a 2-in-1.
okay.
And so some people they want to know what the package would run. They want to know one or two pricings. Some say we're good on the slide. I'm just writing on your behalf. What would you like me to put down from what we just talked about?
From this, probably nothing. I never thought of using an ice cream scoop to scoop out seeds, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does. And it
You know,
all
I never
depends
thought of
on,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it depends on how it's built, right? So the Cutco one, it's built with a point, and so
Huh.
it's shaped specifically with that in mind. Some of them are just totally round, and so it would be awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
this is
really, I
kind of
think
like a
from that, nothing.
cool,
Nothing that we would have to have.
no problem, no problem. So now I'm going to move on. This is like Cutco's best kept secret. Most people have never seen the Cutco flatware, even though they've been Cutco owners for all these years. Have you seen it before?
No.
We talk to a lot of customers who have 3 sets of flatware. They have their wedding set, they have their inherited set, and they have their department store set. And sometimes they're up to their ears in flatware, yet they still are looking for a set because they want to purge everything and downsize to that one set, kind of like when you got your first set of Cutco knives.
Sure.
And so I don't really have any videos for the flatware, but I can share with you 5 fun facts. Number one, they're USA made, just like all the knives. And so that's a huge benefit.
Yes.
Number two, they are an 1810 surgical stainless, which is the highest grade, considered to be one of the highest grade steels for flatware on the market. Number three, they're guaranteed forever. Hopefully, you never have to use the guarantee. I had one customer a few years ago drop a spoon in the garbage disposal. She sent it back. She got lucky, and Cutco sent her a new one. And
Wow.
that was the spoon, not the garbage disposal, but a great testimony to the kind of company that Cutco is. And when she got that new one, it was the same design. Too often, companies change their designs, and they know that you'll be forced to buy a whole kit because you can't get matching replacements. And so Cutco's had the same diamond shaped design for over 40 years. They're weighted well. You can put a spoon or a fork on your finger and it doesn't teeter totter. That's how well balanced they are. And then finally, you can pass them down because they'll always retain their quality and usability. Unlike most flatware that gets passed down, it's in the basement. It's high quality but low usability because you got to polish it. And so, any
Right.
interest in this? If so, I'll write it down. But if not, no
No.
worries.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Cool. Sweet. Moving along. So did any of your adult children purchase Cutco from your son or later on in life?
Well, we only have the one son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't realize you
Well,
only had.
we each have one, but
Okay.
no, my son did not at the time.
Because he was just a kid. He was in college too.
Yeah, he was in college at the same time. So
Sure, sure. I'll
we
share a
each
funny story.
have
What was
one
that?
boy that we each just have one boy that
Right.
are about 6 years apart.
Mm-hmm. So funny story. I got a buddy in New York City that went to attempt to do a sharpening appointment for a woman who received a complete set of Cutco from her parents in 1962.
Uh,
And now her parents paid $93 for it back then. When Jeffrey attempted to sharpen them, he couldn't because she waited 50 years for her first sharpening. And
Well, I've
although,
waited pretty long for mine.
yeah, but we could at least save most of your set. He couldn't even save any of them, so they all had to be returned, all of them. And
Yeah.
even though that set, like I said, is now $36.79, the company replaced everything for the cost of shipping. She said it was one of the greatest gifts she ever received twice because she used it
Wow.
daily. A
Yeah.
lot of my customers in Ohio have given Cutco as well. Gail was the first one. I went to see her during my practice appointments, and she had already owned Cutco for 20 years. And she said, "I'd like to get a set for my son. He's building a home." And
Mm.
so she got him the basic set to get him started. 2 years later, she called me up and said, "I'd like to get the same set for my oldest daughter." But in those 2 years, from 13 to 15, the price of the set went up by 80 bucks. And so Gail decided to buy 3 sets for all 3 daughters, even though the younger 2 were still in middle school. She said,
Oh,
"I've
wow.
already decided I'm gifting it to them. I'd rather pay the 2015 price and not the 2025 price." And so,
Yeah.
if that was something that you thought would be cool, then I can give you a quote on it. If you were still in the home business, I would recommend you do what Ryan did. Ryan bought Cutco. He bought 30 knives for all 30 of his employees, and then his top 20% of customers as well. And so it's just a great practical gift as opposed to,
Well,
gift
that's a
card
very
or
thoughtful gift.
cash.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Does this intrigue you? Would you want to know what a set similar to yours would run nowadays for a gift, or what do you think?
No,
Okay.
no.
Only if Tim Christian was paying for it.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, get Tim on the line. I have a feeling he might say no.
Yeah, he would like that one.
Yeah. So we'll pass on that. And
Tell him
lastly,
he can use all the money he wins for me in golf.
yeah, pay it forward, right? So I have 2 last things to cover with you before we wrap it up. Are you happy with your pots and pans right now, or would you consider investing in Cutco pots and pans?
I didn't know they made pots and pans, but we really are happy with the set we have.
And what's your
In fact, I
preferred brand?
just invested in a cast iron, my first cast iron skillet.
Yeah.
Nice, cool. Yeah, like you said, you didn't know. A lot of people think of Cutco, they think knives. But
Exactly. I had no clue that they
yeah,
made, this. Huh.
yeah, they are the most loved product out of all the products that we offer. For people that
Oh.
own the knives and then they get the pots and pans, usually they tell me the pots and pans are their favorites. So they are the most expensive product that we make, but
Mhm.
people have told me they're easy to use, easy to clean, and a product that
Mhm.
many customers will tell you have changed their lives. One customer joked that having Cutco pots and pans are like having a smartphone when your whole life you've had a flip phone. And so
Wow.
that next time that you're looking for pots and pans, and if you find that you're buying them, every few years, then, I'd be happy to share with you a 10-minute demo or so on Cutco, because they would be the last
Okay.
set you'll ever have to own.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. I think that's it. Do y'all have a flower or vegetable garden? These are just miscellaneous things. I don't know if
Um,
you would be interested in knowing a quote on a garden set. They're pretty
we do have a
durable.
I've got the shears, the
Garden
the,
shears,
uh, the
yeah.
one that kind of ratchets. You
this
squeeze
one,
it once.
pruners.
Well,
Mhm.
but the pruner doesn't look like that. It's got
Oh.
the
Yeah, the
flat bottom edge with
right.
the.
I know exactly what you're talking about. They redesigned them about 10 years ago, and so that makes
Oh.
sense.
And it still works great. I mean, it's the only thing that gets through some of my thicker branches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Cutco. Well,
But we're
doesn't
kind
surprise
of
me.
in one of those communities where,
Condos, yeah.
well, no, these are
No.
single family, but they do everything here.
Yeah. They cut
Mhm.
the grass and
They
weed.
prune all the shrubs down, they remulch, they edge, they cut the grass. I mean, this is total retirement.
Yeah, you've graduated from all those chores. Congratulations. I could feel the productivity coming through your voice as you were talking about everything that they did. It's great. It just gives more time for golf. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's right. Golf and fishing and pickleball, you got it.
Do you have anyone close to you that you would spend $100 on that you might want to gift a Cutco fillet knife to?
Not really.
Okay. Or pocket
No,
knife
my
or anything
son's a
like that?
vegetarian.
Yeah, my son's vegetarian and
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, that's it. How did I do?
You did fabulous.
you know your
Thank you.
product.
And you
Thank
kept
you.
it interesting. And Oh, you're wonderful. I hope you go to win that trip to Australia.
I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening. Um, Now, just curious, when you saw the the message or post from Tim, did you see it on online, or did he
I was on Facebook.
on Facebook? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you, if I sent that to you, would you be open to paying it forward and posting it again so that anybody in your network who might benefit from this can
Sure.
sign up on,
Yeah, I
on
had
the
made a note. How do you post that on Facebook?
Yeah.
that is what I am here for to help you with here. Um, do you have your phone nearby?
We're zooming on it.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. What about Sue? Do you have your phone nearby?
I do.
I'm gonna send you a text here.
Okay.
What's your cell?
216-1.
All right. Now, do you have the Facebook app on your phone there, Sue?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna talk you through a
I
step
just
by
got your
step.
text. Mhm.
Wonderful. So the first thing that you're gonna want to do is copy that entire text.
Okay.
So you want to highlight it all, paragraph and link included.
Okay.
And then what you're gonna want to do is go over to your Facebook app. And if
Okay.
you're on the home page, you'll notice that at the very top right corner, there is a magnifying glass. That's the search button.
Okay. Do you want me to do that while we're on the phone or?
Yes, I was actually just going to give you the step-by-step here. That way
Oh,
you don't have to worry about homework and it's all done. And
So you want to
I-
highlight the whole thing.
Yeah.
yes, please.
Okay. And now go to Facebook to my
hmm
story, probably, huh?
The home page, you'll notice a magnifying glass at the top corner. Let me know if you
Yeah.
see it.
Press
If you
that.
click that, yeah, it'll open up a search bar, and the search bar is where you'll type knives on wheels, just like it says on
Knives,
Bob's phone here on the Zoom.
knives
And
on wheels.
yeah, with no spaces, and just
See,
like that, KNIVESON.
Okay, there you are, Kip.
Awesome, cool. Please click on either my name or my picture, and you'll see a page open up with an American flag at the top.
Yep.
And what you're going to want to do is click the like button, that thumbs up right below the American flag.
Yep.
And below that, there is a 3 little dots button. Do you see that?
I do.
Please click on that, and then one of the options in the menu will be check-in.
Got it.
When you click on check-in,
Okay.
then it'll ask you what's on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where you're going to paste what we had copied from earlier.
Okay, it's there. Oh, no.
What's wrong?
Posted the wrong thing. You don't want that out there. Let me erase that.
Oh, did it not copy from earlier, potentially?
Correct. Correct. Let me see if I can.
Thank you.
I'll keep this up and go back to my text.
Good
I don't
plan.
know how to do that, but. Okay, copy. Okay, it worked. So
Awesome.
now, do I
Now,
just post it?
just listen.
yes, then you just hit the post button. You got it.
And it's done.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I truly appreciate it. Makes a big difference. Maybe somebody will sign up, maybe not. But
Oh, I hope
if
so. I
somebody,
hope,
if
Well, she definitely has more influence with the social media than I do.
yeah, yeah. Have you ever heard of Nextdoor, Sue, the neighborhood
Yes,
app?
we're
Yeah,
on that. Mhm.
yeah. Is that on your phone too?
Yes, it is.
Could I give you a quick direction really quickly on how to do that one?
Sure. Let me bring that up.
Thank you. It's kind of a good
Okay,
good thing that you used your phone for the Zoom, Bob.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, You know, originally I had a camera and a headset for my other computer and monitor, but when we moved and and I retired, I've got two PCs here. One's my home, one's my old work, but I never hooked up the camera or the microphone to either of them. So,
Yeah.
and my tablet is not functionable for a Zoom meeting because the thing's as slow as molasses coming out of a jar. So I told
Yeah.
your gal, I said, hey, as long as I can do a Zoom on my smartphone, then we're good to go, because that's what I use most of the time for everything anyway.
Yeah. So Sue, in the
Yep.
Nextdoor app, do you see the plus sign?
No.
Or what do you see on the homepage that might lead you
Well,
to
let me go
make
to
a
the home
post?
page. Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be it. Okay, a plus sign, maybe down here.
No,
Or
plus.
Did
You
see-
had the plus sign.
it's like
right
green.
here? Okay, I see the plus sign.
Awesome. Cool. So if you hit that, then the next page will ask you post. That's like one of the options.
Yes, hit post.
Yes, please. The next page should ask you to select a category.
Mm-hmm.
General, please.
Okay.
And then what does the next page say?
Well, yeah, I guess it could take a message, or it said cancel. I guess this is where I would put in a
Paste?
message, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a subject line or just a message?
just says message.
Yeah, that's where you're going to paste. Yeah, you got it. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then if you could please hit the post button now,
Okay.
and you'll know that it'll work because it'll say your post has been published.
Yep, it just came up. Well, good. I hope
Awesome.
you get some phone calls.
Then do you want
Yeah.
to share the post?
No, those two posts are going to be fantastic. People can
Okay.
see it. They're on the respective, social media platforms, and so that I think is versus taking a Nextdoor post and sharing it to Facebook. It's actually better to just post on Facebook like we
Okay.
did. And
Okay,
so
good. So I can close this now?
you can. Yeah,
Okay.
it's that is really helpful, and I just can't say how much I appreciate you doing that for me. It means a lot.
Well,
So prior to COVID, Kip, did you have to like drive out to people's homes for appointments and do this at the homes?
Yes. For 7 years, I I drove around and I lugged a suitcase all the way up
wow.
the driveway, pushed it up with my chair,
Wow.
and then made my way to kitchen tables to sharpen knives and change lives. And
Roger, you're a good salesman.
So you said in your chair, are you in a wheelchair?
No.
yes,
Oh,
Really?
you are.
I would have never
yes.
guessed.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like I'm undercover. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. Yes,
So has
yes.
this made it easier for you now doing the Zoom meetings?
Yeah, it is. I actually usually don't work this time of year because there's too much snow stacking up in people's driveways.
Yeah, right.
And I was really ambitious one year. I was like, I don't care, I'm going out. And then customer had to like pull me out of the snow because I got stuck. And I was like, I got to really be selective about who I see during these winter months. And so, uh, basically, I would really work hard from like April through November, right?
Uh-huh.
And then usually take it slow. And so this is the first year really in my career that I've actually done this many sharpening appointments. In the midst of the the winter. And so it's been great when it comes to efficiency and helping more people, which I really enjoy doing. And so
Cool.
so
So
are you
as far as the pricing for the
yeah,
upgraded set,
are you sitting down?
yeah, I am.
Good, cool. So it's all done. I'm gonna share with you how it breaks down, and if you're sitting down, it means that you're not going to fall over. Just kidding. Cutco ain't cheap. Good things aren't cheap, and cheap things are not good. So here's kind of how the upgrade works. So when you purchase a complete set from Cutco, it's $32.95 What we do is we give you credit for what you've already purchased. And so I went ahead and added the price of the set you bought. Now you get today's value, not what it was worth 15 years ago. And the price of the scissors and the price of the sharpener, and it added up to 1,001. And so you actually get 1,001 credit off the cost of the set. So that means that your upgrade is $22.94. And if you ever wanted to, purchase knives individually, then that's what it would cost you. If you purchased outside of a Zoom, then that's what it would run as well. However, even though you get that credit, what I do for my personal clients during their sharpening appointments, anybody that purchases an upgrade, because it does help significantly towards Australia, I do another 10% off of the, already built-in credit. And so I discounted it to $20.64 for you. You can pay the $20.64 plus tax, or you can use our Easy Pay. The Easy Pay is the most common way to pay for Cutco. It's $412 plus tax. The way it works is we ship the knives out to you after the first payment, and then you don't have to remember to pay for it because it comes off automatically like Netflix, except it stops after the 5th time. And so, as you can see, the reason that people do it, not everybody does, but they do it because of the savings. You save, over $1,300 as if you were to buy a set outright anyways. The biggest question is, how does the 412 work for you each month? Is that doable?
Not really. We're both retired.
Sure. No problem. And so if it isn't doable, then it's really a matter of trying to find out what your priorities are. One of the ways that folks can save some money is by eliminating the table knife aspect of it and only going with the prep tools. What did you think as I was describing this concept of a table knife at the beginning on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all and 10 being definitely?
About a 2 or 3.
A 2 or a 3, that's pretty darn low. And
Yeah.
so when you take
We
out,
would just not have much use for it, I don't think. You mean that little knife, right? The one that
The table knife on right there.
Yeah.
yeah. And so when somebody upgrades, there's 12 of those
Mhm.
that are in there. And so when you basically eliminate them, then
Did you
here
feel
is
that way?
what, okay. I'll just swap the board out here.
Mhm.
And so this is the same package discounted, but without 12 of these. So you take out a bunch of the knives
Mhm.
and you just get the prep tools, which seem to be what most of your list was anyways.
Mhm.
Is the 284 more doable than the 412?
And the total would be now what?
1422 plus tax.
1422.
Yeah, it's one of those things we'd have to discuss.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so when you use the Easy Pay, it's just 284 plus tax, and you can return exchange within the first month. So that way, it's easy for you to try them while you're thinking about them.
So it's
And so
284, and that's
For how many months?
today and 4 more. Yeah, so 5 total payments of 284.
so a total of 5 pays.
Okay.
Mhm.
We'll discuss that.
Sure.
And-
I'm actually going to go to the bathroom really quickly so that you guys can
Sure.
have a minute to discuss. And
Okay.
then when I get back, just let me know what you think.
And I have
Okay.
one more question before you run off.
Sure.
Does it include the new
Storage holder and cutting boards,
storage
yes.
holder? Okay,
Yes. And the cutting boards, yes.
okay.
Okay.
And the
All right,
storage
go ahead.
holder,
Take your time.
cool. I'm just going to go across the hall. I've been holding this, so it's actually perfect that you guys needed to.
Well, I've been staying awake for you.
Oh, well, I feel honored. So thank
Usually
you.
I'm fast asleep by this time.
Well, I guess I really have been doing a good job then.
Yep.
You bet,
Cool.
Kip. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Cool. Yes, I'm back.
All
So what
right.
do you think? Does that work?
Is that the best we can do?
Yes, yes. That is the best that you can do. Yes, because you get the credit
So
and
what
the
you're-
discount for working with
So
me
what
for
you're
helping
saying
towards
is,
Australia.
is that the set would run $32.95,
22 you have there.
well, plus 1,000 a month.
Oh, 1,000 credit.
Mhm.
And so we paid probably